She entered marriage expecting heartbreak, but the billionaire beast shielded her forever. Nia Thompson stood in the private hospital room, her nurse's scrubs wrinkled from a 14-hour shift, and listened to a dying woman offer her $400,000 to marry her son. The oxygen monitor beeped steadily. Outside, Chicago's winter pressed against the windows. Mrs. Hayes's hand, thin and cool, gripped Nia's with surprising strength. "He's lonely," the older woman whispered. "And you need help. I've seen you crying in the supply closet. I've heard the collection agency calls you ignore. My son needs someone real. You need a miracle." She paused, breathless. 1 year. That's all I'm asking. Let me die knowing he's not alone. Nia should have said no. Should have walked away. Should have protected what was left of her pride. Instead, she thought of her sister Amber's insulin prescription she couldn't afford. The eviction notice. Her father's medical debt crushing her like a physical weight. "Yes," Nia said. "I'll do it." She had no idea she'd just agreed to marry the most dangerous man she'd ever meet. Dangerous because he'd make her believe in love again. Welcome to Moments of Romance. I'm so glad you're here to share this journey with me. If this content resonates with you, please hit the like button and subscribe. Your support helps me create even deeper, more meaningful videos for our community. Let's navigate these emotions together. 3 weeks earlier, Nia had believed things couldn't get worse. She'd been wrong. "Miss Thompson, this is your 3rd notice." The collection agent's voice crackled through her phone as Nia stood outside Chicago General's ICU, her coffee going cold in her hand. "Your father's outstanding medical debt is now $412,000. We need to discuss payment arrangements, or we'll be forced to pursue legal action." "I understand," Nia said quietly, her throat tight. "Can I call you back? I'm at work." She ended the call before the woman could respond. Her hands shook. Legal action. The words felt like a punch to the chest. Her father had been dead for 8 months. The cancer had taken him piece by piece, and apparently, it wasn't satisfied with just his life. It wanted to destroy hers too. Every experimental treatment, every last hope medication, every extra day they'd fought for had come with a price tag she'd never fully understood until the bills started arriving. Nia. Her supervisor, Carol, poked her head out of the break room. "Room 604 needs you. Post-stroke patient, just transferred from critical. Families requesting you specifically." Nia nodded, swallowing the panic rising in her throat. She dumped her coffee, smoothed her scrubs, and headed down the hall. Work was the only thing keeping her sane right now. In the ICU, she had purpose. She had control. She could save people, even if she couldn't save herself. Room 604 was quiet when she entered, just the soft beep of monitors and the whoosh of the automated blood pressure cuff. The patient was a woman in her late 60s, gray hair perfectly styled even in a hospital bed, her eyes sharp despite the oxygen cannula. "You must be Nia," the woman said, her voice slightly slurred but determined. "They said you're the best nurse on this floor." "I don't know about that," Nia said warmly, moving to check the monitors. "But I'll take good care of you, Mrs. Hayes. Catherine Hayes." The woman watched her with an intensity that made Nia slightly uncomfortable. "And I know you will. I've been asking about you." That was odd. Nia glanced at the chart. Ischemic stroke, caught early, good prognosis. Wealthy patient, the room was private, spacious, with a view of the city. "Asking about me? You've been here 7 years, Catherine said. Never miss a shift. Your patients love you. You put yourself through nursing school while caring for your sick father. And now you're raising your younger sister alone." She paused. "And you're drowning." Nia's hands stilled on the 4-line. "Mrs. Hayes, I don't think." "I heard you on the phone yesterday," Catherine interrupted gently. "In the supply closet. You were crying about medical bills. Collection agencies. You said you didn't know how much longer you could keep going." Heat flooded Nia's face. She'd thought she was alone. She'd let herself break down for just 5 minutes in the tiny closet, surrounded by gauze and antiseptic, and apparently, she'd had an audience. "I'm managing," Nia said firmly, falling back on the lie she told everyone. "It's under control. $400,000. Catherine's eyes were kind but unflinching. "That's not under control, sweetheart. That's impossible." Nia's professionalism cracked. "How do you know that number?" "Because I listened. And because I recognize desperation when I see it." Catherine shifted in the bed, wincing slightly. "I have a son, Daniel. He's brilliant, successful, completely devoted to his work. He's also the loneliest person I know." This conversation was going somewhere Nia couldn't follow. "Mrs. Hayes, I need to check your vitals." "His wife died 3 years ago," Catherine continued as if Nia hadn't spoken. "Ovarian cancer. Stage 4. She was 28. Daniel's been empty ever since. He works 18-hour days, funds medical research, builds free clinics. He's trying to save the whole world because he couldn't save her." Despite herself, Nia felt a tug of sympathy. She knew that kind of grief. Knew how it hollowed you out and left you going through motions. "I'm sorry for your loss," Nia said softly. "But I don't understand why you're telling me this." Catherine smiled, and there was something almost mischievous in it. "Because I'm dying, Nia. This stroke is just the beginning. I have 6 months, maybe less. And before I go, I need to know my son won't spend the rest of his life alone." The pieces clicked together, absurd and impossible. Nia actually laughed. "Mrs. Hayes, you can't be suggesting." "1 year," Catherine said. "Marry my son for 1 year. I'll clear your father's debts. All of them. I'll set up a trust for your sister's medical expenses. You'll never have to choose between insulin and rent again." Nia's heart hammered against her ribs. This was insane. This was a dying woman's fever dream. "You want me to marry a complete stranger for money?" "I want you to give my son a reason to come home at night," Catherine corrected. "I want him to remember what it feels like to have someone waiting for him. And yes, I want to help you, because you're a good person drowning in circumstances beyond your control. Everyone wins." "Except this is fraud," Nia said, even as her mind raced with possibilities. $400,000. Amber's medical bills covered. A trust fund. Security. It's lying to your son. Daniel needs a wife to satisfy the board of directors. His company is facing a hostile takeover. They think he's unstable because he's unmarried and reclusive. If he has a fiancée, a wedding, evidence of a stable personal life, the board will back him instead of the vultures circling. Catherine's breathing was labored now, but her gaze never wavered. "He gets what he needs. You get what you need. Where's the harm? The part where we're lying to everyone. The part where you both survive." Nia stood frozen, her mind spinning. This was crazy. Completely, utterly crazy. She didn't know this woman's son. Didn't know anything about him except that he was rich, lonely, and grieving. What kind of person agreed to marry a stranger? The kind who got a call from her sister's school yesterday saying Amber had passed out during gym class because her blood sugar was dangerously high because Nia had been rationing her insulin to make it last longer. The kind who woke up every morning with a weight on her chest so heavy she could barely breathe. The kind who was so tired of fighting alone. "I need to think about it," Nia whispered. "You have until I'm discharged," Catherine said. 3 days. Then the offer expires. Nia didn't go to the supply closet that night. She went to the hospital chapel instead, a small quiet room with stained glass windows and wooden pews that always smelled faintly of lemon polish. She sat in the back and put her head in her hands. Her phone buzzed. A text from Amber. "Can you pick up my prescription on your way home? We're out." They were always out. Nia was always stretching, rationing, praying nothing went wrong before the next paycheck. She pulled up her bank account. $243. Rent was due in 6 days. The prescription was $90. She had a gas bill, a water bill, groceries to buy. The math didn't work. It never worked. "Dad," she whispered to the empty chapel. "I don't know what to do." Her father had been a pastor at a small church on the south side. He'd taught her about integrity, about doing the right thing, about never compromising your values for convenience. He'd also gone into massive debt trying to stay alive long enough to see Amber graduate high school. He'd died 2 months before graduation. What would he tell her to do now? Nia sat there for 20 minutes, waiting for an answer that didn't come. Finally, she stood, smoothed her scrubs, and walked back to the ICU. Catherine Hayes was awake, reading something on an iPad. "I have conditions," Nia said from the doorway. Catherine looked up, and her smile was radiant. "I'm listening. Everything in writing. Legal contracts. I want a lawyer to review everything before I sign. And your son has to agree to this willingly. I'm not tricking anyone. Done. And when the year is over, we part as friends. No drama, no mess. Clean break." "Of course." Nia took a breath. "And I want it documented that this is employment, not charity. I'm providing a service. I'm earning this money." Catherine's eyes softened with understanding. "You have your pride. I respect that. Yes. It'll be a contract. Employment. You'll be compensated fairly for your time and discretion." It still felt wrong. It still felt like selling something she couldn't name. But Nia thought of Amber, 17 and scared, trying to manage a chronic illness while finishing high school. Thought of the collection agency threatening legal action. Thought of her father, who'd sacrificed everything for his daughters. Sometimes doing the right thing meant making the hard choice. "Okay," Nia said quietly. "I'll do it." "Thank you," Catherine whispered. "You have no idea what this means to me." Nia nodded, her throat too tight to speak. She finished checking Catherine's vitals, documented everything in the chart, and left the room with her hands shaking. She'd just agreed to marry a billionaire stranger. What the hell had she done? Outside the window, Chicago glittered in the winter night, indifferent and beautiful. Somewhere in that city was the man who would become her husband. Daniel Hayes. The lonely billionaire with the dead wife and the empty life. Nia wondered if he had any idea his mother was orchestrating his entire future from a hospital bed. She wondered if she'd just made the best decision of her life or the worst. 3 days later, she'd find out. The lawyer's office was nothing like Nia expected. She'd imagined cold glass towers and men in $1,000 suits looking down on her. Instead, she found herself in a converted brownstone in Lincoln Park, sitting across from a black woman in her 50s who introduced herself as Patricia Williams and offered Nia tea before discussing anything else. "Catherine Hayes is one of my oldest friends," Patricia said, pouring from a ceramic pot. "She told me about your situation. I want you to know I'm here to protect your interests, not just hers." Nia accepted the tea with shaking hands. She'd taken a personal day from the hospital, told Amber she had errands to run. The lie sat heavy on her tongue. "I still feel like I'm doing something wrong." "You're entering a contractual arrangement between consenting adults," Patricia said firmly. "Nothing illegal about that. Now, let's go through the terms." The contract was 30 pages long. Nia read every word. In exchange for 1 year of marriage to Daniel Hayes, including public appearances as his wife and maintaining the appearance of a genuine relationship, Nia would receive immediate payment of all outstanding debts in her name and her father's estate, $412,000. A trust fund for Amber's medical expenses and education, $500,000. A monthly household allowance of $10,000 for personal expenses. At the end of 1 year, a settlement payment of $250,000. Full health insurance coverage for herself and Amber. Housing provided in Daniel Hayes's primary residence. The numbers blurred together. Over $1 million. For 1 year of her life. What does he get? Nia asked quietly. Besides the appearance of stability? Patricia's expression softened. A chance to feel something again, if Catherine's right. But contractually, a wife who'll attend company events, live in his home, and present a united front to his board of directors. He's not expecting love, Nia. He's expecting a competent partner in a business arrangement. Has he agreed to this? He will. Patricia hesitated. Catherine is persuasive. And Daniel would do anything to give his mother peace in her final months. So he didn't know yet. Nia's stomach twisted. When do I meet him? Tonight. Catherine's being discharged. She's hosting a small dinner at her estate. You'll be introduced as her nurse who's been caring for her. The proposal will come later, from Daniel, once Catherine has prepared him. This felt like a train speeding forward, and Nia had already jumped on, unable to get off. She signed the contract with a pen that cost more than her weekly grocery budget. Catherine Hayes's estate was in Lake Forest, 40 minutes north of the city. Nia drove her beat-up Honda Civic past mansions that looked like they belonged in movies, her heart hammering harder with each turn. The Hayes house was beautiful but not showy, red brick and white columns, with gardens that probably looked amazing in summer but were bare and skeletal now in February. Warm light glowed from the windows. Nia parked next to a Mercedes and a Tesla, feeling ridiculous. A housekeeper answered the door, took her coat, and led her to a sitting room where Catherine waited, looking stronger than she had in the hospital. Nia, you came. Catherine stood, embracing her warmly. How do you feel? Terrified, Nia admitted. Good. That means you're taking this seriously. Catherine linked their arms. Daniel should be here any minute. He's always late, loses track of time at the office. But I promise he's not what you're expecting. What am I expecting? Someone cold, arrogant, difficult. Catherine smiled. He's none of those things. He's just lost. Before Nia could respond, she heard a car in the driveway. Footsteps on the front stairs. The door opening. Mom. A man's voice, deep and careful. Why did you summon me to the house? You should be resting. He appeared in the doorway and stopped. Nia's breath caught. Daniel Hayes was not what she'd expected. He was tall, maybe 6'2", with dark brown hair that looked like he'd been running his hands through it. He wore jeans and a sweater, rumpled from a long day. His face was striking, strong jaw, straight nose, eyes such a light gray they were almost silver. But it was his expression that caught her. Exhausted. Wary. Guarded. He looked like a man barely holding himself together. Daniel, this is Nia Thompson, Catherine said smoothly. She's been my nurse at Chicago General. Nia, my son, Daniel. Those gray eyes focused on her, and Nia felt pinned in place. He studied her face for a long moment, too long, intense enough to make her uncomfortable, then nodded once. Thank you for taking care of my mother, he said. His voice was quiet, controlled. I appreciate it. Of course, Nia managed. She's a wonderful patient. I'm a terrible patient, Catherine corrected cheerfully. But Nia tolerates me anyway. Come, let's have dinner. I'm starving, and we have so much to discuss. Dinner was torture. The food was amazing, roasted chicken, vegetables Nia couldn't name, bread that melted in her mouth, but she could barely taste it. Daniel sat across from her, saying little, watching everything. He asked his mother about her medication schedule, her physical therapy appointments, her diet restrictions. He asked Nia careful, polite questions about her nursing background, her training, her opinion of the ICU staff. He didn't smile once. Catherine carried most of the conversation, telling stories about Daniel's childhood, his company, his philanthropy work. Nia learned that Hayes Pharmaceutical had developed 3 major cancer treatments in the last decade. That Daniel had founded a network of free clinics across Chicago. That he'd lost his wife, Rebecca, to the very disease his company fought. I'm sorry, Nia said quietly when Catherine mentioned Rebecca. That must have been devastating. Daniel's jaw tightened. It was a long time ago. 3 years wasn't long at all, but Nia didn't argue. After dinner, Catherine excused herself, claiming fatigue, and suddenly Nia was alone with Daniel in a sitting room that felt too small. He poured himself whiskey, offered her wine. She accepted, needing something to do with her hands. "My mother likes you," Daniel said finally, standing by the fireplace. "She doesn't like many people. I like her too. She's dying." The words were flat, matter of fact. 6 months, maybe less. The stroke was a warning. Her heart is failing. "I know," Nia said softly. "I'm sorry." He nodded, staring into the fire. The silence stretched. Nia sipped her wine and studied him. The tension in his shoulders, the exhaustion in his face, the way he held himself apart from everything. Catherine was right. He was lost. "She has a proposal for me," Daniel said abruptly. "Doesn't she?" Nia's heart stopped. "What?" "My mother is many things, but subtle isn't one of them." He turned to face her, those strange gray eyes unreadable. "She invited you here for a reason. She's been pressuring me for months to find someone, get married, give the board what they want. Now she's dying, and suddenly there's a beautiful woman having dinner at the house." He paused. "So what's the proposal?" Nia set down her wine before she dropped it. "She should explain." "I'm asking you." The intensity of his gaze made her feel naked, exposed. She stood, needing to move. "Your mother thinks you need a wife. For the board, for the company. She thinks I need help with some financial difficulties. She proposed a marriage contract. 1 year. Mutually beneficial." She waited for anger, disgust, outrage. Instead, Daniel laughed. It was a rusty sound, like something that hadn't been used in years. "Of course she did. Catherine Hayes, matchmaking from beyond the grave." He shook his head. "And you agreed?" "I signed a contract today," Nia admitted. "But only if you agree willingly. I'm not going to trick you or manipulate you. If this isn't something you want, I'll walk away right now." "Why do you need money?" The question was blunt. Nia bristled. "That's personal. You're asking me to marry you. Nothing's personal anymore." "Fair point." Nia took a breath. "My father died of cancer 8 months ago. He left behind 400,000 in medical debt. I have a 17-year-old sister with type 1 diabetes. I'm an ICU nurse making 60,000 a year. The math doesn't work." She met his eyes. "Your mother offered me a way out. I took it." "Smart," Daniel said. There was no judgment in his voice, just assessment. "What do I get?" "A wife who'll show up when you need her. Who'll smile for the cameras and play the part. Who won't expect anything you can't give." Nia's throat tightened. "Your mother said you need the board to see you as stable. I can do that. For a year. For a year." Daniel moved closer, and Nia forced herself not to step back. He was taller than she'd realized, and there was something about him, a presence, an intensity, that made her nervous. "What happens after the year?" he asked quietly. "We divorce quietly. Part as friends, hopefully. Go back to our separate lives." "And you think you can do that? Pretend to be in love with me for a year, then walk away?" "I think I can pretend for a year, yes." Nia lifted her chin. "Can you?" Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, maybe, or respect. "I don't know. I haven't felt anything in 3 years. Pretending might be all I'm capable of." The honesty of it hit her in the chest. This broken man, standing in front of her, admitting he was empty. "Then we'll pretend together," Nia said softly. Daniel studied her for a long moment. Then he held out his hand. "Okay. Let's get married." Nia shook his hand. His grip was warm, firm, and when their skin touched, she felt a jolt of something she couldn't name. Chemistry. Awareness. Danger. She'd just agreed to marry a stranger. God help her. Upstairs, Catherine Hayes stood at her bedroom window, watching the two figures in the sitting room below. She smiled. Sometimes, the best gift a mother could give was a chance at happiness, even if neither party knew they needed it yet. She'd seen the way Daniel looked at Nia. The way Nia stood her ground. 1 year might be all she'd asked for. But Catherine was betting on forever. The wedding happened in a courthouse on a Thursday afternoon. Nia wore a simple cream dress she'd bought on sale. Daniel wore a dark suit that probably cost more than her car. Catherine attended, glowing with satisfaction despite her fragility. Patricia served as witness, along with Daniel's assistant, a calm woman named Jennifer who handed Nia a folder of documents after the ceremony. Building access codes, credit cards in your name, contact information, Jennifer explained. Mr. Hayes thought you might want time to move your things gradually, but the penthouse is ready whenever you are. The penthouse. Right. Because she was married to a billionaire now. The judge pronounced them husband and wife. Daniel didn't kiss her. They shook hands again, that same jolt of awareness, then signed papers that made it legal. Nia Thompson became Nia Hayes. It didn't feel real. I'll have movers pack your apartment this weekend, Daniel said as they stood on the courthouse steps. February wind cut through Nia's thin coat. Unless you'd prefer to do it yourself? Movers are fine, Nia said. But I need to tell my sister first. She doesn't know about any of this. Daniel nodded. I'll be at the office until late. Take your time. He paused, awkward. I'll have dinner sent to the penthouse. Unless you'd rather eat out. They were married and already negotiating like business partners. The penthouse is fine. Okay. He hesitated, then leaned in and kissed her cheek. It was clearly for Catherine's benefit. His mother was watching from Patricia's car, but Nia felt the warmth of his mouth against her skin, and her heart did something stupid. Then he was gone, sliding into a black car that pulled away from the curb. Catherine rolled down her window. How do you feel, Mrs. Hayes? Like I'm in a dream, Nia admitted. Good dreams or bad dreams? I don't know yet. Catherine's smile was knowing. Give it time, sweetheart. Give him time. He's forgotten how to let people in, but you're patient. You're strong. You're exactly what he needs. Nia wasn't sure about that. But she waved as Patricia drove Catherine away, then stood alone on the courthouse steps, a married woman with a husband who was already at work. Welcome to her new life. Telling Amber was harder than signing the contract. Nia found her sister at their apartment, a cramped 2-bedroom in Rogers Park that always smelled like the Indian restaurant downstairs. Amber was sprawled on the couch, doing homework, her insulin pump visible on her hip. Hey, Amber said without looking up. How were your errands? Nia sat down, her hands shaking. I need to tell you something. And I need you to let me explain before you react. That got Amber's attention. She closed her textbook, brown eyes, so much like their father's, worried. Are you okay? Is it the bills? Nia, I told you I can get a job. I got married today. Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Then, you what? I married someone. His name is Daniel Hayes. He's going to help us. With the bills, with your medical expenses, with everything. Amber stared at her. You married a stranger for money? It's not like that. Then what is it like? Amber's voice cracked. Nia, what did you do? So Nia explained. The hospital, Catherine, the contract, the debts erased, the trust fund. She explained that Daniel needed a wife for business reasons, that it was temporary, that it was the only way to keep them afloat. Amber listened, her face cycling through disbelief, anger, hurt, and finally resignation. You did this for me, she whispered. Because of my diabetes. I did this for us, Nia corrected firmly. Because Dad's bills were killing me and I was drowning and this was a lifeline. Yes, I want you safe and healthy. But Amber, I couldn't keep going the way things were. Something had to change. So you sold yourself. The words stung. I entered a business arrangement with clear terms and boundaries. It's a job, not prostitution. For a year. For a year. Amber wiped her eyes. She was 17, trying so hard to be grown, but she looked young and scared. What if he's awful? What if he hurts you? He won't. Nia surprised herself with how certain she sounded. He's sad. Lonely. But not cruel. His mother is dying and he wants to make her happy. I can understand that. Do you love him? I just met him. But you married him. Yes. Nia reached for her sister's hand. I know it's crazy. I know it's not what Dad would have wanted. But it's done, and it means you're safe. Your insulin is covered. Your future is covered. We can breathe, Amber. For the first time in months, we can breathe. Amber was quiet for a long time. Then she squeezed Nia's hand. Okay. I don't like it, but okay. When do we move? This weekend. To his penthouse downtown. A penthouse. Amber laughed, shaky. This is insane. Completely insane, Nia agreed. They sat together on the worn couch, in the apartment they'd shared since their father died, and Nia tried not to think about how much was about to change. Daniel's penthouse occupied the top 2 floors of a building overlooking Lake Michigan. The movers finished at 6 p.m. on Saturday. Nia stood in the living room, all floor-to-ceiling windows and modern furniture, and felt like she'd walked onto a movie set. Your bedroom is upstairs, Jennifer had explained during the tour. Mr. Hayes's is on this floor. Separate bathrooms, separate spaces. He travels frequently for work, so you'll have privacy. Separate bedrooms. Of course. This was a contract, not a real marriage. Amber explored with wide eyes, claiming a guest room with a view of the lake. Nia, this bathroom has a tub the size of our old kitchen. Nia's room was beautiful. King bed, sitting area, a closet bigger than her old bedroom. Someone had unpacked her clothes already, her worn Target dresses hanging next to empty space clearly meant for a different wardrobe. She found Daniel in his study, working on a laptop despite it being Saturday evening. We're all moved in, she said from the doorway. He looked up, and for a moment, she saw surprise cross his face, like he'd forgotten she was coming. Good. Is everything okay? Do you need anything? No, it's perfect. Thank you. Nia hesitated. You didn't have to work today. We could have done this during the week. I always work. He closed the laptop. It's easier than thinking. The honesty surprised her. Nia stepped into the study, all dark wood and leather, very masculine, and sat in the chair across from his desk. Your mother told me about Rebecca. Your wife. Daniel's expression shuttered. Did she? I lost my father 8 months ago. It's not the same, but I understand grief. How it empties you out. Nia met his eyes. I'm not going to pretend to be her. I can't replace what you lost. I'm not asking you to. His voice was quiet. This is an arrangement, Nia. You don't have to comfort me or fix me. Just show up when I need you to, and we'll be fine. It should have been a relief. Clear boundaries, no expectations. Instead, it made her sad. When's the first event? She asked. Next Friday. Company gala. The board will be there, investors, press. We'll announce our marriage publicly. He paused. Jennifer has arranged for a stylist to help you shop for appropriate clothing. Whatever you need, put it on the household account. Appropriate clothing. Right. Because her Target dresses wouldn't cut it. Okay, Nia said. Anything else I should know? Daniel studied her for a long moment. I'm not good at this. At people. I'll probably work too much and forget to come home. I'll be distant and difficult. But I'll never lie to you, and I'll keep my word. The contract protects you, and so will I. Protects me from what? From anything that tries to hurt you. His gray eyes were intense. You're my wife now. That means something to me, even if it's just on paper. Nia's throat tightened. Thank you. He nodded, then opened his laptop again. Conversation over. Nia left him there, working in his study on a Saturday night, and went to find Amber. Her sister was in the kitchen, a chef's dream of marble counters and high-end appliances, making grilled cheese. He's weird, Amber announced. He's grieving. You like him. Nia grabbed the spatula. I don't know him well enough to like him. But you want to. Amber grinned. You got that look when you came back from his study. The look you get when you're interested in something. I'm not interested. This is a job. A job where you live with a hot, sad billionaire who just promised to protect you. Sure. Very professional. Nia flipped the grilled cheese harder than necessary. Eat your dinner and stop analyzing my life. But later, lying in her new bed in her new room in her new life, Nia couldn't stop thinking about the way Daniel had looked at her. You're my wife now. That means something to me. This was supposed to be simple. A contract. An arrangement. So why did her heart beat faster every time he was near? Why did she want to know everything about him? His favorite food, his fears, what made him laugh before grief stole his smile? 1 year, she reminded herself. Just 1 year of pretending. She could do this without catching feelings. She had to. In his study, Daniel stared at his laptop screen without seeing it. His penthouse felt different with Nia in it. Warmer. Less empty. He'd heard her laughing with her sister in the kitchen. Heard life in rooms that had been silent for 3 years. This was a mistake. He should have refused his mother's scheme, found another way to satisfy the board. But then Nia had stood in his mother's sitting room, chin lifted, eyes honest, and said she could pretend for a year. And Daniel realized he wanted her to. Not just for the board. Not just for his mother. But because for the first time since Rebecca died, he felt something other than emptiness. He felt curious. Interested. Aware. Dangerous feelings for a man who'd sworn never to love again. The stylist's name was Monica, and she had opinions. No black. Too severe for a newlywed. No red. Too aggressive for a first appearance. We want soft, romantic, but still powerful. She circled Nia like a predator. You're stunning, but we need to make sure every camera catches it. Nia stood in front of a 3-way mirror in a boutique that didn't have price tags, never a good sign, and tried not to panic. Monica had pulled 20 dresses, each more beautiful and expensive looking than the last. I don't know what I'm doing, Nia admitted. I've never been to anything like this. That's why I'm here. Monica softened. Daniel Hayes is a good man. Quiet, but good. He deserves someone who makes him happy. You do that. The question caught Nia off guard. We're still getting to know each other. Monica pulled a dress in deep emerald green. Try this. It'll make your skin glow. The dress fit like it had been made for her. Silk that draped perfectly, a neckline that was elegant without being revealing, a slit that showed just enough leg. When Nia looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. That's the one, Monica said with satisfaction. He won't be able to take his eyes off you. Nia's stomach flipped. This wasn't about attraction. This was about appearances. So why did she hope Monica was right? Friday arrived too quickly. Nia spent the day at the hospital. She'd arranged to keep working part-time, needing something that was still hers, and came home to find Daniel in the living room, unusually early, wearing a tuxedo that made her forget how to breathe. He looked up when she entered, and his eyes widened. I thought you'd be working late, Nia said. I wanted to pick you up myself. He stood, and she saw him take her in, jeans and a hospital polo, hair in a messy bun, nothing like the polished image she needed to present. Our first event together. It seemed important. Something warm bloomed in Nia's chest. Give me an hour. Take your time. Nia showered, did her makeup with hands that wouldn't stop shaking, and slipped into the green dress. Monica had sent shoes, jewelry, even a clutch. When she emerged from her room, she found Daniel waiting at the bottom of the stairs. He went completely still. Is it okay? Nia asked, suddenly uncertain. Okay. Daniel's voice was rough. Nia, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. Heat flooded through her. You're just saying that because it's true. He climbed 3 steps until they were eye level, and the intensity in his gaze made her dizzy. I know this is an arrangement. I know we're pretending. But I need you to know, you take my breath away. Nia's heart hammered. Daniel. He offered his hand. Ready. She took it, and the warmth of his palm against hers felt like a promise. The gala was at the Art Institute, transformed with lights and flowers and beautiful people. But Nia barely noticed because Daniel kept her close, his hand possessive on her lower back, his attention focused entirely on her. That's Richard Chen, board chairman, he murmured in her ear as they moved through the crowd. Don't let him intimidate you. And that's Victoria Ashton, she'll ask intrusive questions. Just smile. What about her? Nia nodded toward a stunning blonde watching them with sharp eyes. Daniel's jaw tightened. Lauren Mitchell. Rebecca's college roommate. She's difficult. Before Nia could ask more, Lauren intercepted them. Daniel. It's been too long. She air-kissed his cheeks, then turned to Nia with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. And you must be the new wife. How unexpected. Nia, Daniel said, his voice cool, this is Lauren. Lauren, my wife, Nia. Charmed. Lauren's gaze raked over Nia. You know, Rebecca and I always said Daniel would never remarry. He loved her too much. I suppose we were wrong. The barb landed, but before Nia could respond, Daniel's arm tightened around her waist. Rebecca wanted me to be happy, he said quietly. And Nia makes me happy. Now, if you'll excuse us. He guided Nia away, his hand sliding from her waist to lace with her fingers, a gesture so natural, so couple-like, it made her chest ache. I'm sorry about her, Daniel said when they were alone. Is it true that you thought you'd never remarry? Daniel stopped, turning to face her fully. They stood in a quiet corner, away from the crowd, and his gray eyes searched hers. Yes. After Rebecca died, I couldn't imagine letting anyone that close again. The pain was unbearable. And now, Nia whispered. Now I'm terrified, he admitted. Because this was supposed to be pretend, and somewhere in the last week, it stopped feeling that way. Nia's breath caught. Daniel. Dance with me. What? He pulled her toward the dance floor, where couples swayed to a jazz quartet. We're newlyweds. We should dance. His arm circled her waist. Her hand rested on his shoulder. They moved together, and Nia realized with a start that they fit perfectly. I haven't danced since my wedding to Rebecca, Daniel said softly. I thought I'd forgotten how. You're doing fine, Nia managed. That's because of you. His hand spread wider on her back, pulling her closer. You make things easier. Lighter. I come home now instead of sleeping at the office. I eat dinner instead of forgetting. I feel present. Like I'm living instead of just existing. That's good, right? It's terrifying. His forehead almost touched hers. Because in 11 months, you'll leave. And I'll have to figure out how to go back to the way things were before. Maybe you won't have to. The words slipped out before Nia could stop them. Daniel's eyes locked on hers. What are you saying? I don't know, Nia admitted. I just know that this, us, doesn't feel fake anymore. The music swelled around them. Other couples moved in their peripheral vision. But all Nia could see was Daniel, the way he looked at her like she was something precious and frightening all at once. "If I kiss you right now," he said quietly, "it won't be for the cameras. I know. It'll complicate everything. I know that too. Nia." She rose on her toes and kissed him. His sharp intake of breath. The way his arms tightened around her. The world narrowing to just the two of them. It was everything and too much and not enough all at once. Daniel kissed her back like a drowning man finding air. His hand cupped her face, his thumb stroking her cheek, and Nia felt 3 years of grief and loneliness pouring into this one moment. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Daniel pressed his forehead to hers. "This changes things," he whispered. "Yeah," Nia agreed. "I don't know how to do this. How to let myself feel again without being consumed by fear of losing it. Then we figure it out together." He kissed her again, softer this time, sweeter. Around them, people probably stared. Cameras probably flashed. But Nia didn't care. For the first time since signing that contract, she wasn't pretending. They left the gala early. Daniel held her hand in the car, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. Neither spoke, the air heavy with everything unsaid. When they reached the penthouse, Daniel walked her to her bedroom door, separate rooms, still maintaining that boundary, and stopped. "I don't want to rush this," he said. "I don't want to mess this up. We won't. You don't know that." His hand came up to cup her face. "I'm broken, Nia. I'm difficult and distant and I work too much. I have nightmares about losing people I love. I'm not easy to be with. Good thing I'm patient." A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "What did I do to deserve you? Agreed to a crazy scheme orchestrated by your matchmaking mother." He laughed, a real laugh, warm and surprised, and the sound filled something in Nia she hadn't known was empty. "Good night, Nia." "Good night, Daniel." He kissed her once more, gentle and lingering, then stepped back. "Sweet dreams." Nia watched him walk to his own room, her lips still tingling, her heart racing. Inside her bedroom, she touched her mouth and smiled. This was supposed to be fake. But that kiss was the realest thing she'd felt in years. In his own room, Daniel sat on the edge of his bed and put his head in his hands. He'd kissed her. He'd meant to keep distance, maintain boundaries, protect himself from the possibility of pain. Instead, he'd kissed Nia Hayes like she was oxygen and he'd been suffocating. And the terrifying part? He wanted to do it again. Wanted to wake up next to her. Wanted to come home to her smile. Wanted to build something real from this arrangement that had started as pretend. For 3 years, he'd been half alive, going through motions, convinced he'd never feel anything again. Then a beautiful nurse with warm eyes and a guarded heart had agreed to marry him, and suddenly he was awake. Suddenly he was feeling everything. Daniel looked at the photo on his nightstand, Rebecca, smiling, forever 28. He'd kept it there as penance, as reminder, as anchor to his grief. Now he picked it up and held it gently. "I think I'm falling for her," he whispered to the photo. "I didn't mean to. But she's light, Becca. And I've been in the dark so long." The photo didn't answer. But somehow, Daniel felt peace. Rebecca would want him happy. And Nia made him happy. Now he just had to figure out how to turn a 1-year contract into forever. Have you ever felt something so real it terrified you? Have you ever started something fake only to realize it was becoming the most genuine thing in your life? Daniel and Nia just crossed a line they can't uncross. That kiss changed everything. But here's the problem. They still have 11 months left on a contract that was never supposed to involve real feelings. And when you're falling in love with someone you're contractually obligated to leave, every moment together becomes both a gift and a countdown to heartbreak. "Yeah, I think I have for a while. I just didn't want to admit it because it scared me." Daniel kissed her, soft and reverent. "What are we doing?" "I don't know. But I don't want to stop." "Neither do I." They sat in the garden as the sun set, holding each other, and Nia thought that grief and love weren't opposites. They were intertwined. Catherine's death hurt, but it had also given Daniel permission to live again. To love again. To choose happiness despite the pain. A week later, Nia moved her things into Daniel's bedroom. It felt monumental and simple all at once. Her clothes in his closet. Her books on his nightstand. Her body in his bed. That first night, they just held each other. "Is this okay?" Daniel asked, his arms around her, her head on his chest. "It's perfect. I haven't shared a bed with anyone since Rebecca. We can slow down if you need." "No." He tightened his hold. "This is exactly where I want to be." They fell asleep tangled together, and when Nia woke in the middle of the night, Daniel was watching her. "Creepy," she whispered. "Can't help it. You're beautiful when you sleep. You're supposed to be sleeping too." "I will. I just wanted to make sure this was real first." Nia kissed him. "It's real." And it was. For 3 perfect weeks, it was real. Daniel laughed more. Worked less. They cooked together, watched movies, made love like they were making up for lost time. Amber started calling Daniel her brother-in-law, and meant it. Life felt full and right and exactly how it was supposed to be. Nia almost forgot this had started as a contract. Almost forgot there were 11 months left on a deal that didn't matter anymore. Almost forgot that contracts could be weaponized by people who didn't understand love. Until the letter arrived. Daniel opened it over breakfast, and his face went white. "What is it?" Nia asked. He handed her the paper with shaking hands. It was from the board of directors. Someone had leaked information about the marriage contract. They were calling it fraud. Demanding an investigation. Threatening to remove Daniel as CEO and pursue legal action against both of them. At the bottom, a handwritten note. "Some people don't belong in our world. L.M. Lauren Mitchell." "This is bad," Daniel said quietly. "How bad?" He met her eyes, and she saw fear there. Real, genuine fear. They could take everything. The company, my assets, my reputation. And you. He swallowed hard. They could charge you with fraud. You could go to prison. The floor dropped out from under Nia's world. Everything they'd built, the love, the trust, the life they were creating, was about to come crashing down. And she had no idea how they were going to survive it. Have you ever had everything you wanted hanging by a thread? Have you ever watched love bloom in the middle of grief, only to have someone try to rip it away? Daniel and Nia just buried the woman who brought them together. They just admitted they're in love, real love, not contract love. They just started building a life that matters. And now it could all be destroyed. A leaked contract. Accusations of fraud. The threat of prison. Lauren Mitchell just weaponized the very thing that was supposed to protect them, turning their arrangement into evidence of deception. The board wants Daniel's head. The lawyers want Nia's freedom. And the world is watching, waiting to see if a billionaire's love story was nothing but a calculated lie. But here's what Lauren doesn't know. Daniel Hayes spent 3 years barely surviving. Nia Thompson spent 8 months drowning alone. And now that they've found each other? Now that they know what real love feels like? They're not going down without a fight. What comes next will define everything. A choice between empire and love. Between safety and truth. Between walking away to protect each other, or standing together and risking it all. The question isn't whether they'll fight. It's whether love is enough to win a war against people who've never believed in it. Stay with me for the final part. Because Daniel is about to prove that when you've been dead inside for 3 years, and someone brings you back to life, you'll burn the whole world down before you let them go. Daniel didn't sleep that night. Nia found him at 3 in the morning, sitting in his study, surrounded by contracts and legal documents, his laptop screen glowing in the darkness. "Come to bed," she said softly. "I can't." His voice was raw. I'm trying to find a way out of this that doesn't destroy you. Nia crossed to him, took the papers from his hands, and straddled his lap. His arms came around her automatically. Look at me, she commanded. He did. Those gray eyes were haunted. We're going to get through this, Nia said firmly. Together. They'll press charges against you. Fraud, conspiracy, maybe more. You could lose everything, your nursing license, your freedom. I can't let that happen. And what's your plan? Take the fall alone. If I have to, yes. No. Nia cupped his face. We're in this together. You don't get to martyr yourself to save me. Nia. I mean it, Daniel. Whatever comes, we face it together. That's what love is. That's what marriage is, the real kind, not the contract kind. Something shifted in his expression. The real kind. Yeah. He kissed her, desperate and deep. I don't deserve you. Too bad. You're stuck with me. They went back to bed, wrapped around each other, and Nia felt his heartbeat against her back. Strong. Steady. Alive. Whatever happened next, they'd face it together. The emergency board meeting was scheduled for Monday. Daniel spent the weekend with his lawyers, building a defense. Nia spent it at the hospital, working her shifts, pretending her entire world wasn't about to implode. You okay? Her supervisor Carol asked during a break. Not even a little bit, Nia admitted. I saw the news. The contract thing. Carol sat beside her. For what it's worth, I've watched you with Mr. Hayes when he visits his mother. That man loves you. Contract or not, that's real. The board doesn't care about real. They care about perception. Then change the perception. Nia looked up. What? You're a nurse. You save lives. You care for people at their most vulnerable. Daniel Hayes funds free clinics and develops life-saving medications. You're both good people who entered a business arrangement that became something more. Tell that story. Make them see the humans, not the contract. An idea sparked in Nia's mind. Carol, you're brilliant. I know. Now get back to work. Monday morning, Nia walked into Hayes Pharmaceuticals' boardroom wearing her nurse's scrubs. Every head turned. Daniel, sitting at the head of the table in a suit, looked shocked. The board members, 12 stone-faced executives, looked scandalized. Mrs. Hayes, Richard Chen said coldly. This is a private board meeting. I'm aware. Nia set her bag down. I'm also the reason we're here. So I figured I should speak for myself. Nia, Daniel started, but she shook her head. Let me do this. She turned to face the board, her heart hammering but her voice steady. My name is Nia Thompson Hayes. 8 months ago, my father died of cancer, leaving me with $400,000 in medical debt and a 17-year-old sister with type 1 diabetes. I'm an ICU nurse. I make $60,000 a year. The math didn't work. I was drowning. She paused, meeting each board member's eyes. Catherine Hayes was my patient. She saw my situation. She also saw her son, a brilliant, grieving man who'd been half dead since losing his wife. She made us both an offer. A marriage contract. 1 year. He'd get the stability you demanded. I'd get financial security. Everyone wins. Exactly, a woman named Patricia Langford said sharply. Fraud. It would have been, Nia agreed, if we'd gone through with it as planned. But something neither of us expected happened. We fell in love. Daniel's eyes locked on hers. Real love, Nia continued. The kind that makes you want to come home early. The kind that makes you laugh for the first time in years. The kind that makes a contract feel like prison because you want more than the terms allow. She pulled out a document from her bag and placed it on the table. This is the original marriage contract. Signed by Daniel, myself, and witnessed by Patricia Williams. It stipulates 1 year of marriage, financial compensation, and clear terms. It also includes a clause that either party can terminate early if circumstances change. Richard Chen grabbed the document. What's your point? My point is that circumstances changed. We're invoking that clause. The contract is terminated, effective immediately. Silence. I don't understand, someone said. Daniel stood. He crossed to Nia, took her hand, and faced the board together. The contract is void, he said clearly. Because I'm not married to Nia for business reasons anymore. I'm married to her because I love her. Because she's the best thing that's ever happened to me. Because I choose her, every day, contract or not. This is ridiculous, Patricia Langford spat. You're trying to cover up fraud with sentiment. No, Daniel said quietly. I'm telling you the truth. You wanted me stable? I am. You wanted me focused? I am. You wanted proof I could lead this company into the future? Look at our numbers. Revenue up 18%. 3 new drug trials approved. 2 clinics opened in underserved neighborhoods. I've done more in the last month than I did in the previous 3 years combined. Because you're happy, Richard Chen said slowly. Because I'm in love. Daniel turned to Nia, and his voice softened. I started this as a business arrangement. I thought I could keep my heart out of it. I was wrong. Nia changed everything. She reminded me what it feels like to be alive. And if loving her costs me this company, this reputation, everything I've built, it's worth it. She's worth it. Nia's eyes burned. Daniel. I'm not finished. He pulled something from his pocket. A small velvet box. The first ring I gave you was part of a contract. This one is a choice. He opened the box. Inside was a simple gold band with a single diamond. Nia Thompson Hayes, will you marry me? Not because of a contract or a dying mother's wish or financial security. But because I love you more than I thought I could love anyone. Because you're my lighthouse. Because I want to spend every day for the rest of my life coming home to you. Nia's tears spilled over. We're already married. I know. Marry me anyway. She laughed through the tears. Yes. Always yes. He slipped the ring onto her finger, beside the original wedding band, and kissed her in front of the entire board. When they broke apart, Richard Chen was smiling. Well, he said gruffly. I suppose that settles it. Settles what? Patricia Langford demanded. Whether this is real. Richard stood. I've known Daniel for 15 years. I've never seen him like this. Whatever started as a contract became something genuine. And frankly, our problem was never the marriage. It was Lauren Mitchell weaponizing private information to settle a personal grudge. Lauren leaked the contract? Daniel asked sharply. She admitted it to Victoria last week. Thought she was helping. Richard's expression hardened. She's been removed from all company dealings. And as for this board, I move that we acknowledge Daniel's personal life as exactly that, personal. His performance speaks for itself. Seconded, another board member said. The vote was quick. 10 in favor, 2 opposed. Daniel remained CEO. Nia's legal troubles evaporated. And Lauren Mitchell found herself persona non grata in Chicago's business community. 2 months later, they had a second wedding. This one was in a small church on the south side, the one where Nia's father had been pastor. Amber served as maid of honor. Jennifer stood up for Daniel. 50 people attended instead of 500. Nia wore a simple white dress. Daniel wore a gray suit that matched his eyes. And when the pastor asked if they took each other, for better or worse, in sickness and health, for as long as they both lived, they answered with absolute certainty. I do. This time, Daniel kissed his bride like he meant it. Because he did. Epilogue. 1 year later. Nia came home from the hospital to find Daniel in the kitchen, attempting to cook dinner. Should I be worried? She asked, kissing him hello. Probably. But I'm trying. He gestured to the smoking pan. I think I killed the chicken. She laughed, moving him aside. Let me handle this. You set the table. They moved around each other with easy familiarity. A year of real marriage had taught them each other's rhythms. Daniel knew Nia needed 20 minutes of quiet after a hard shift. Nia knew Daniel needed to talk through work problems while she listened. They'd learned to fight fair, love fiercely, and choose each other every single day. Amber got her acceptance letter, Nia said as she salvaged dinner. Full scholarship to Northwestern. That's amazing. Daniel grinned. Your dad would be proud. He would. Nia touched the lighthouse necklace she never took off. Your mom too. Yeah. She'd be insufferably smug about being right. They ate dinner together, talking about their days. Daniel told her about a new drug trial showing promise. Nia told him about the patient who'd hugged her and said she was the reason he kept fighting. After dinner, they curled up on the couch, Nia's head on Daniel's chest, his arms around her. I love our life, she said softly. Yeah. It's nothing like I expected. Better or worse? She tilted her head up to kiss him. So much better. Daniel's hand found hers, their rings clicking together. The original band and the new one, contract and choice, intertwined. I entered marriage expecting heartbreak, Nia whispered. And instead, you shielded me forever. Daniel kissed her forehead, her nose, her lips. Forever sounds perfect. And in that penthouse overlooking Lake Michigan, in a marriage that had started as a contract and became the greatest love story either of them had ever known, Nia Thompson Hayes and Daniel Hayes chose forever. Again. And again. And again. Do you believe in second chances? In love that starts broken and becomes whole? In two people who thought they'd never feel again, finding everything in each other? Daniel and Nia's story reminds us that sometimes the greatest love stories start with the unlikeliest arrangements. That grief doesn't mean you're done living. That accepting help isn't weakness, it's survival. That love, real love, is a choice you make every single day. They entered marriage as strangers with a contract. They left it as soulmates with forever. Because love doesn't care about how it starts. It only cares about how you choose it, every day, for the rest of your life.
Thank you so much for watching till the end. It truly means a lot to me. If this video touched your heart or resonated with you in any way, please show your support by hitting that like button and subscribing to Moments of Romance. Your support helps us reach more souls on this journey. Until next time, take care of your heart.